According to our theme today, Indonesia Digital Economy Opportunities amidst global economic challenges, from your perspective.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. We are very positive about the growth of the digital economy. In the past year, we've seen the Indonesia digital economy reach $90 billion in GMV. There was a very strong growth recovery in a number of sectors, particularly driven by e-commerce, which remains the largest part of the market, as well as by travel. Travel had a very strong resurgence, lots of travel in the region, Indonesians going abroad as well. We continue to see this to be quite positive in the long term as well. The macroeconomic fundamentals remain strong for Indonesia. Inflation is falling, economic growth remains robust, as well as the change in the structure of the industry, where players are focusing more on profitable and sustainable growth. So remains quite positive. There are some things that need to be done to continue to ensure that growth remains steady. But overall, remains quite a good story.
Okay, Indonesia digital economy is projected to become $90 billion in GMV by 2024, which is the largest in Southeast Asia. What are the main driver behind this growth, and how sustainable it is in the long-term period?
Yep. I think there's been 2 or 3 big drivers in the recent time. We saw a little bit slower growth in the 22-23 period, but 23-24 saw a good recovery across the sectors. Double-digit growth across e-commerce, travel, food and transport, and media. Continued positive sentiment from consumers as they come back to shopping, to travel, and innovation as well. We will talk a bit more about innovation in e-commerce, which remains the biggest sector, but video commerce, influencers driving more engagement there. I think in the long term, we do expect Indonesia to remain the most attractive market in the region as well. So in terms of attracting investments from both venture capital as well as the large tech, it remains a key battleground market. So quite positive in the sense of sustainable growth. We have some challenges on ensuring that we have a strong exit market for startups. But if you're able to resolve that, we should have a thriving digital economy over the long term.
Okay, the report also mentioned that Indonesia digital GMV could reach up to $360 billion by 2030, beyond e-commerce and travel, like you said. Will it work and deliver the expected result? Like, e-commerce has become one of the entry points for the flow of important goods into Indonesia.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think so. We have looked at the 2030 outlook for the last few years in our report. We obviously continue to refine the long-term estimates basis the latest developments in the market. But we have held the long-term view that it could be $360 billion in GMV by 2030. There's a few factors that are positive. One, the resurgence of growth that we've seen this year has been across sectors. So we talk a lot about e-commerce and travel. They grew very fast, but actually even food and transport and media had double-digit growth at 13% and 12% respectively, getting to about an $8-9 billion market. So both of those as well looking quite positive. So the growth seems to be quite broad-based. It's not very narrow or just in a few sectors. It seems to be quite broad-based, which is promising. In the long term, there are a few things that we believe that will drive the growth, and we yet to see if that will play out. So for e-commerce, we do need to see continued penetration in categories like personal care, lifestyle, but importantly in big categories like grocery. If that moves online, we will see continued strong growth. There are some nascent sectors which are yet to show the full potential, like healthcare. This is a big market in some other countries in the region. If that's able to grow, that will also lead to a strong outlook for the longer term.
Okay. The report also highlights a growing digital loan market.
Yes.
Aadarsh, like what strategies can be implemented to ensure non-performing loans remain under control while expanding access to financial services?
Yeah, this is quite an important domain. The digital financial services underlying the overall digital economy has been strong fuel to the growth. So far, the focus has been digital payments. So we moved from largely cash to a large digital payment economy, and we are almost at the tipping point of 50% cash, 50% digital payments. So I think next year we will be more digital than cash in Indonesia. But as the digital financial services market evolves, the focus now is shifting to lending and loans. Digital lending is going to be the largest market in the long term in terms of the income potential for the fintech providers or the banks. So there's a lot of focus on how do we grow that market. At the same time, we've learned from looking at other countries that can go horribly wrong if it's not managed in a robust way. So I think the good thing about Indonesia is we've gone through one credit cycle, and there's a very good collaboration between the regulator and the fintechs and participants in the market. So they have been working very closely actually to ensure that non-performing loans remains in check. The regulator has brought some good control into P2P lending at the lowest level. So I think it's the last few years has shown a pretty positive trajectory.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, we hope that it will stay that way as it really starts to grow.
Yeah, of course, yeah. OJK recently lowered P2P lending interest rate for consumptive loans. And what impact need to be anticipated, especially for financial inclusion and also overall loan growth in Indonesia?
Yeah, I think it's a very step in the right direction, and some of the key players also in the market have expressed in interviews that they are supportive, and this will not impact the business model in a big way. I think we need to keep this balance between growth and sustainable growth. So we can't expect that we will have very low interest rates and then the fintechs will go down to the bottom of the pyramid. But at the same time, if we don't have controls in place, then that can lead to predatory lending. So I think OJK is balancing that in a thoughtful way to say I need to have some consumer protection.
So it's not a tricky regulation, yeah?
No, I don't think so. I think it's the right step, and a lot of the fintechs are starting to drive financial inclusion. They haven't reached the bottom of the pyramid yet, so there is more to be done. But they are starting to go beyond the urban and the wealthy to the lower income in a thoughtful way. So over time, as we improve the digital penetration, we should see better results. Still a lot to be done in terms of financial literacy. And we can talk a bit more in our report. We mentioned there's lots of issues around fraud and protection still need to be resolved. So there is education needed as well to ensure that we get the inclusion objectives.